The mind is the key to success. If you want to be rich, start by thinking like the rich. Most people want to be successful, but very few ever make it. It's not because they're not working hard. It's not because they don't have dreams. It's because they don't think the right way. You see, success isn't just about grinding every day. It's about knowing what really works. It's about understanding the difference between what keeps people stuck and what makes people rich. And here's the truth. Millionaires don't think like everybody else. Right now, you might be doing everything you were told to do. Work hard, save money, play it safe. But let me ask you, has that been enough? Are you where you want to be? If you're not, don't blame yourself. Most people have been taught the wrong way to approach success. They've been told that hard work alone is the answer, that saving every penny will make them rich, that playing it safe will protect them. But look around, how many people do you know who are doing those things and still struggling? The difference between the wealthy and the average person isn't luck. It's not magic. It's how they think. They focus on the long game while others chase quick money. They take risks while others avoid them. They build skills while others wait for the perfect opportunity. And most importantly, they take action, even when they're afraid. You have two choices. Keep thinking the way you always have and get the same results, or start thinking differently and change your life. In this video, we're going deep into the mindset that creates real success, the mindset that turns ordinary people into millionaires. If you want to break free from financial struggle, if you want to start seeing real progress, then stay with me, because once you understand how to think like a millionaire, everything else starts falling into place. Number one, success starts in the mind. Success doesn't start when you make your first $1 million. It doesn't start when you land a big opportunity, or when luck finally turns in your favor. It starts long before that. It starts the moment you change the way you think. Because if your mind is not ready for success, success will never come. And even if it does, it won't stay. That's the truth. You don't just stumble into wealth. You don't accidentally build a great life. It all begins in the mind. Most people think success is about working harder, finding the right connections, or getting a lucky break. And while those things matter, they are not the foundation. I've seen people work themselves to the bone and still struggle. I've seen people meet the right connections, but never do anything with it. And I've seen people get lucky only to lose it all because they weren't mentally prepared to handle success. You can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. And you can't build a successful life with a mindset that's holding you back. Everything changes the moment you take control of your thoughts. Because your thoughts control everything. Your decisions, your actions, your habits, your results. A person who thinks small will live small. A person who thinks in limits will always be stuck. A person who thinks success is for other people will never achieve it themselves. But the person who trains their mind for success will start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. They will start making choices that move them forward instead of holding them back. They will start taking action, even when it's uncomfortable, because their mind is set on the right path. If you want to change your life, you have to start with your thinking. That's where real transformation happens. Because what's the point of earning more money if you still think like a broke person? What's the point of having opportunities if you don't believe you're capable of handling them? What's the point of trying to grow if your mind is constantly working against you? Success is not about how much effort you put in. It's about whether or not your mind is working for you or against you. The way you think will either push you forward or hold you back. That's why two people can start at the same place in life and end up in completely different destinations. One person sees possibilities, while the other only sees problems. One person believes they can, while the other keeps telling themselves they can't. And because of that, one takes action, while the other makes excuses. It's not their circumstances that made the difference. It's their mindset. A millionaire doesn't think the same way as a person who is struggling to pay their bills. That's not an accident. That's a mindset difference. The millionaire has trained themselves to look for opportunities instead of problems. They have trained themselves to stay disciplined even when they don't feel like it. They have trained themselves to take responsibility for their life instead of blaming others. They have trained themselves to believe that no matter what happens, they will figure it out. And because they think that way, they behave that way. And because they behave that way, they get results that most people never will. That's the difference between success and failure. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you think. And the good news is, you can train your mind just like you train your body. You can develop a stronger mindset, a better perspective, a sharper way of looking at life. But it takes effort. It takes time. It takes a decision to no longer accept small thinking. It takes a commitment to stop blaming, stop complaining, and start taking control of your own thoughts. Most people will never do this. Most people are too busy making excuses. They say, I'm not lucky like other people. I wasn't born into wealth. I don't have the right connections. I don't have the time. And while they're saying all of that, someone else is out there proving them wrong. Someone else is out there working on themselves, developing the right mindset, learning the right skills, and putting in the effort. And a few years from now, the difference will be obvious. One person will be stuck exactly where they are, still making the same excuses. And the other, they will have changed their entire life. So ask yourself, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who stays stuck because they refuse to change their thinking? Or do you want to be the person who takes responsibility, rewires their mind, and starts moving towards success? That decision is in your hands. If you want to start thinking like a millionaire, you have to stop thinking like everybody else. The average person is filled with doubts. The average person makes decisions based on fear. The average person listens to negative people. The average person spends more time worrying about problems than working on solutions. The average person waits for the perfect moment instead of taking action. Now, the average person lets life control them instead of taking control of their life. But here's the truth. Average thinking leads to an average life. If you want to be successful, you have to think differently. You have to start making decisions based on where you want to be, not where you are. You have to start training your mind to see possibilities instead of problems. You have to start feeding your mind with knowledge instead of negativity. You have to start acting like the person you want to become. And it all starts today. Because success doesn't happen someday. It happens when you decide that you are done thinking small. It happens when you decide that you will no longer let your doubts and fears control your future. It happens when you commit to growing, to learning, to becoming the kind of person who deserves success. That's the secret. That's the key. It's not about luck. It's not about waiting for the right time. It's about shifting your thinking, training your mind, and developing the habits that will lead you to where you want to go. So if you've been waiting for the perfect moment to change your life, here it is, right now, today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Because the moment you change your thinking, your life starts moving in a new direction. Your actions follow your thoughts. Your results follow your actions. And the sooner you take control of your mind, the sooner you take control of your future. So stop thinking like the person who is struggling, and start thinking like the person who is succeeding. Stop focusing on what's wrong, and start focusing on what you can do. Stop feeding your mind with negativity, and start filling it with knowledge, confidence, and belief. Because success starts in the mind, and the moment you take control of it, you take control of your entire life. Number 2, learn before you earn. Education first, money second. Money is a reward for the value you bring to the marketplace. That's how wealth works. That's how success works. And the people who understand this simple truth are the ones who go on to achieve financial freedom. But here's what most people get wrong. They chase money before they chase knowledge. They focus on making a quick dollar instead of building the skills that will allow them to earn for a lifetime. And that's why they struggle. That's why they stay stuck. Because you don't get paid for what you want. You get paid for what you know and what you can do. If you want to change your financial situation, the first thing you have to do is stop thinking about the money and start thinking about education. Because if you don't know how to earn, if you don't know how to create value, if you don't know how to solve problems, then it doesn't matter how hard you work. You will always be limited. But the moment you take the time to learn, to develop yourself, to acquire knowledge and skills, that's when everything changes. That's when the money starts to come. Because when you become valuable, the world pays attention. Look at the people who are truly successful, the ones who have built real wealth. They didn't get there by accident. They didn't just wake up one day with a fortune in their bank account. They invested in themselves first. They learned, they studied, they worked on their mindset, they developed skills. And because they did that, the money followed. But most people don't see that part. They see the end result. They see the success. They see the luxury, the lifestyle, the financial freedom. But they don't see the years of learning, the years of sacrifice, the years of discipline it took to get there. That's why so many people get frustrated. They say, why am I not making more money? Why am I struggling? Why am I stuck? And the answer is simple. Because you haven't learned enough yet. You haven't developed the skills that the marketplace is willing to pay for. You haven't built the knowledge that separates the successful from the average. And until you do, your income will always be limited. But here's the good news. This is something you can change. This is something you can control. You don't have to wait for luck. You don't have to hope that one day you'll magically start making more money. You can take control of your future right now by making the decision to learn before you earn. Because once you start focusing on education, once you start focusing on self-improvement, once you start developing skills, the money will follow. It has to. That's the law of success. Most people don't like hearing this. Most people want shortcuts. They want the secret formula. They want overnight success. But the truth is, there is no shortcut. There is no magic formula. There is only one path to success, and it starts with knowledge. It starts with learning. It starts with becoming the kind of person who is so valuable, so skilled, so knowledgeable, that people have no choice but to pay you for what you can do. Now you might be thinking, but I don't have time to learn. And that right there is the mindset that keeps people broke. Because the people who succeed, the people who win, they don't find excuses. They find time. They wake up earlier. They read books. They take courses. They study their craft. They surround themselves with people who know more than they do. And over time, all of that knowledge turns into income. Think about it. If you want to be a doctor, you have to spend years studying medicine. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to spend years learning the law. If you want to be a great musician, you have to practice every day. Success in any field requires education. First, money second. So why do people think they can become wealthy without putting in the time to learn? Why do people expect financial freedom without first becoming the kind of person who deserves it? That's the mistake. That's why so many people stay stuck. Because they want the rewards without the work. They want the paycheck without the skills. They want success without the education. But it doesn't work that way. You have to learn before you earn. You have to invest in yourself before you can expect the world to invest in you. And here's the best part. You don't have to go back to school. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a degree. We live in a time where information is everywhere. You can learn anything you want if you're willing to put in the effort. You can study business. You can study investing. You can study communication, leadership, negotiation, skills that will increase your income for the rest of your life. But most people won't do it. Most people will stay in the same place, year after year, because they refuse to take the time to learn. And that's a choice. That's not bad luck. That's not the economy. That's not someone else's fault. That's a decision. And every day, you have the choice to keep making excuses or to start educating yourself and changing your future. So if you're not where you want to be financially, stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, what do I need to learn? Because once you gain the knowledge, once you develop the skills, once you become valuable, the money will come. And here's the final truth. Money is temporary, but knowledge lasts forever. Money can be lost. Money can be spent. Money can disappear. But once you have the right knowledge, you can always make it back. Once you have the right skills, you will never be broke again. That's why learning before earning is the smartest investment you will ever make. So if you're serious about success, if you truly want financial freedom, start with education. Make it a priority. Study every day. Learn something new every day. Develop skills that the marketplace will reward. And once you do that, once you commit to that path, you'll never have to chase money again, because money will start chasing you. Number 3, money follows value, not hard work alone. Success isn't about how hard you work. It's about how valuable you become. That's the truth. Most people never understand. They spend their entire lives grinding, struggling, working long hours, pushing themselves to the limit. And yet they never seem to get ahead. They look at their bank accounts, and it doesn't match the effort they're putting in. And it's frustrating. It's discouraging. Because deep down they believe that hard work should equal success. But it doesn't. It never has. It never will. If hard work alone made people rich, then construction workers would be billionaires. If effort alone determined wealth, then janitors would be flying private jets. But that's not how the world works. Because money doesn't follow hard work. It follows value. The more valuable you are, the more you earn. The more problems you solve, the more doors open. The more skills you have, the more people are willing to pay for what you can do. That's how wealth is built. That's how financial freedom is achieved. Most people don't want to hear this because they've been told their whole lives that working hard is enough. Go to school, get good grades, find a job, work hard, and everything will take care of itself. That's the promise. That's the lie. Because there are millions of people who have followed that exact plan, and they're still struggling. They're still living paycheck to paycheck. They're still wondering why they're stuck while the people at the top are making fortunes. And it's not because they aren't working hard. It's because they never learned the real secret. Money comes from value. Think about it. Why does a CEO make millions while an employee struggles to pay rent? Is it because the CEO works harder? No. There are people working 2, even 3 jobs just to survive. There are single mothers putting in 18-hour days to feed their kids. There are factory workers breaking their backs every single shift. So it's not about effort, it's about impact. The CEO is responsible for running an entire company. The CEO makes decisions that affect thousands, even millions of people. The CEO brings more value to the marketplace. And because of that, they are rewarded accordingly. And here's what's important. You don't have to be a CEO to be valuable. You don't have to run a billion-dollar company to increase your income. But you do have to understand this principle. The more valuable you become, the more money you will make, period. That means if you're not earning what you want, the question isn't why am I not getting paid more? The question is how can I become more valuable? What skills do you need to develop? What knowledge do you need to gain? What problems can you solve that no one else is solving? Because the moment you start thinking like this, everything changes. Look at the people who make the most money in the world. Athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, investors. These people have something that the average person doesn't. They have value. LeBron James isn't a billionaire because he works harder than every other basketball player. He's a billionaire because he is valuable to the game. His talent, his brand, his ability to bring in millions of fans, that's what makes him worth so much. Elon Musk isn't the richest man in the world because he works the most hours. It's because he creates things that shift entire industries. Value. That's the difference. But most people never think about this. They spend their entire lives doing what they're told, following the traditional path, hoping that one day their hard work will be enough, and it won't. Because unless you bring something unique to the table, unless you have skills that set you apart, unless you can solve problems that others can't, you will always be replaceable. And when you're replaceable, your income is limited. The key is to make yourself irreplaceable, to develop skills that are rare, to become so good at what you do that people have no choice but to pay you more. And this isn't about being born with talent. No one is born valuable. Value is created. Value is built. It's developed through learning, through practice, through experience. Every wealthy person started at zero. They weren't born knowing how to make millions. They had to study. They had to grow. They had to find ways to contribute more to the marketplace. So if you're stuck, if you feel like no matter how hard you work, you're not making progress, stop focusing on effort and start focusing on value. Stop looking at how many hours you're putting in, and start looking at what you're bringing to the table. Because the people who make the most money, the people who live life on their own terms, they didn't get there by working harder. They got there by working smarter, by increasing their value, by doing what others aren't willing to do. And that's the real lesson here. If you want more, you have to become more. If you want to earn more, you have to learn more. If you want to change your financial situation, you have to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a problem solver. Because once you become valuable, once you develop the right skills, once you have something that the marketplace truly needs, you'll never have to chase money again. Money will chase you. Number 4. The poor focus on saving. The rich focus on earning more. Most people will spend their entire lives trying to save their way to wealth, cutting coupons, avoiding their favorite coffee, driving an old car to save a few extra bucks, thinking that if they just spend less, one day they'll be rich. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. You will never get rich by saving money alone. The wealthy don't waste time stressing over every little expense. They focus on making more. They understand something that most people never figure out. There is no limit to how much you can earn, but there is always a limit to how much you can save. And that's why the poor stay poor. They're playing defense when they should be playing offense. Imagine you're trying to fill a glass of water, but instead of turning on the tap, you're trying to conserve the few drops you already have. That's what most people are doing with their finances. They hold on to every penny like it's their last, afraid to invest, afraid to take risks, afraid to think bigger. But here's the thing, money is meant to flow, and if all you do is hold on to it, you'll never have enough. The rich know that the real game isn't about keeping what you have, it's about expanding what you can make. That's why a person with a poor mindset will spend hours searching for the cheapest gas station, but a person with a rich mindset will spend that same time learning a new skill that increases their income. One person is saving $10, the other is making $10,000. And the difference isn't luck or intelligence, it's mindset. The rich understand that the best way to improve their financial situation isn't by pinching pennies. It's by creating more streams of income, by building skills that are worth more in the marketplace, by making money work for them instead of being a slave to it. Most people were raised to believe that saving is the answer. Parents taught their kids to cut cost, to always look for a bargain, to hold on to every dollar like it's a lifeline. And while saving is important, it is not the path to financial freedom. Because no matter how much you save, your expenses will always grow. Inflation will rise. Life will get more expensive. And at some point, you will hit a wall where you simply cannot cut any more costs without sacrificing your quality of life. But if you focus on earning more, there is no ceiling. There is no limit. You are no longer playing small. That's why the rich think differently. They don't ask, how can I afford this? They ask, how can I make more money so I don't even have to worry about this? They don't settle for a fixed paycheck. They create opportunities where their income grows. They don't obsess over small expenses. They build assets that generate more wealth over time. And that's why no matter what happens in the economy, they always seem to come out on top. Because they're not just surviving, they're expanding. Most people think that in order to make more money, they need to work more hours. They believe that the only way to increase their income is to trade more of their time for money. And that's the biggest trap of all, because time is limited. You only have 24 hours in a day. And if you rely on working more to earn more, you will always be stuck. That's why the rich focus on leverage. They build businesses. They invest in assets. They create systems that allow them to make money even when they're not working. The difference between the poor and the rich isn't just the amount of money they have, it's how they think about money. The poor believe that money is scarce, so they hold on to it tightly. The rich believe that money is abundant, so they find ways to create more of it. The poor think about cutting back. The rich think about expansion. The poor focus on saving cents. The rich focus on making millions. And this one shift in perspective can change everything. If you've been stuck in the cycle of just trying to save more, it's time to change the game. Instead of asking yourself where you can cut back, start asking yourself how you can increase your income. Instead of spending time trying to find the cheapest option, spend time learning a skill that allows you to charge more for your work. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, start focusing on what you can create. Because once you make that shift, everything changes. You go from being someone who is controlled by money to someone who controls money. And that is the key to wealth. Number 5, think long-term, not short-term. Most people live their entire lives thinking about the next paycheck, the next bill, the next weekend. They're so caught up in the immediate moment that they never stop to consider where their actions today are leading them. And that's why they stay stuck, trapped in the same cycle, year after year, never truly moving forward. But if you look at the people who have built real success, the ones who have financial freedom, the ones who have built lasting wealth, They all have one thing in common. They think long-term. They don't just focus on what's happening right now. They focus on where they're going. The biggest mistake people make is sacrificing their future for short-term comfort. They want results now. They want success now. And when it doesn't happen instantly, they give up. They switch paths. They start something new, thinking that maybe this time it'll be different. But nothing great is built overnight. The people who win in life aren't the ones who chase quick results. They're the ones who commit for the long haul. They're the ones who plant seeds today, knowing they won't see the full harvest for years, but they plant them anyway. If you want real success, you have to shift your mindset. Stop thinking about just this week or this month, and start thinking about where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years. Because the decisions you make today are shaping that future, whether you realize it or not. Every small action compounds over time. Every skill you develop, every investment you make, every hour you put into something meaningful, it's all adding up. And while most people give up when they don't see immediate results, the ones who succeed are the ones who understand the power of patience, persistence, and consistency. Look at how most people handle money. The short-term thinker spends everything they earn, buying things they don't need, chasing instant gratification. The long-term thinker invests. They put their money into things that grow. They understand that wealth isn't built in a day, it's built over time. And that's why they end up financially free, while everyone else is still struggling to make ends meet. Look at how most people approach their careers. The short-term thinker is constantly looking for the easiest way to make a quick buck, hopping from job to job, never building any real skills, never creating anything of value. The long-term thinker focuses on growth. They invest in learning, in mastering a craft, in becoming so valuable that opportunities come to them. And that's why, over time, they rise while everyone else stays stuck. Look at how most people handle their health. The short-term thinker eats whatever they want, skips workouts, and then wonders why they feel exhausted all the time. The long-term thinker takes care of their body, knowing that their future self will thank them. Because success isn't just about money, it's about energy, it's about longevity, it's about making sure you have the strength to enjoy the rewards of your work. The truth is, most people fail not because they aren't smart, not because they aren't capable, but because they can't delay gratification. They want to see results immediately, and when they don't, they quit. But the ones who win are the ones who stick with it long enough to see the results. They don't start something and expect instant success. They commit, they stay consistent, they play the long game. It's easy to get distracted by what's happening right now. It's easy to feel frustrated when you don't see progress fast enough. But if you focus on the long term, you start making decisions differently. You stop chasing temporary pleasure and start building something real. You stop looking for shortcuts and start embracing the process. Because everything you do today is an investment in your future. And the sooner you start thinking long term, the sooner you start making choices that actually move you forward. There's a reason why most people never reach their full potential. It's not because they aren't talented. It's because they're too impatient. They don't realize that the most valuable things in life take time. The wealth, the freedom, the mastery, it all comes to those who are willing to put in the work and wait for the rewards. But the ones who stay stuck are the ones who keep looking for quick fixes, who keep giving up when things don't happen fast enough, who never stay consistent long enough to see the results. Success is a game of patience. The people at the top are the ones who started years ago, who stayed committed when no one was watching, who kept building even when it felt like nothing was happening. And that's why they win. Because while everyone else was looking for the next quick thing, they were putting in the work. They were making the small daily choices that over time led to massive results. If you want to change your life, start thinking long term. Start making decisions today that your future self will thank you for. Stop focusing on just the next paycheck, the next weekend, the next moment, and start thinking about the bigger picture. Because the moment you shift your mindset from instant gratification to long-term vision, everything changes. You start playing a different game. And in the end, that's what separates those who struggle from those who succeed. Number 6, take smart risks. Playing it safe won't make you rich. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid risk. They want security. They want comfort. They want a guarantee that things will work out before they take the first step. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Playing it safe might keep you from losing, but it will never help you win. It might protect you from failure, but it will never lead you to real success. The people who build wealth, who create something extraordinary, who change their lives, they don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. They take smart risks. They step into the unknown. They bet on themselves when no one else will. The truth is, there is no such thing as a life without risk. Staying in the same place is a risk. Never trying anything new is a risk. Wasting years doing something you don't love because you're afraid to take a chance, that is the biggest risk of all. Because while you're waiting for certainty, while you're hesitating, while you're overthinking, time is slipping away, and time is the one thing you can never get back. People talk about risk like it's a bad thing, like it's something to be avoided. But the reality is, every successful person you admire got to where they are because they took a chance. They weren't reckless. They didn't just throw themselves into something blindly, but they understood that if they wanted more out of life, they had to be willing to step outside their comfort zone. They had to take calculated risks, ones that had the potential for real rewards. And that's what separates the people who win from the people who spend their entire lives playing small. Look around, and you'll see it everywhere. The people who work the same job for 30 years, never asking for more, never demanding more, never pushing themselves beyond what's familiar. Those are the ones who stay in the same financial position forever. They think they're playing it safe, but in reality, they're just settling. Meanwhile, the people who take a chance, who start something of their own, who invest in their skills, who put themselves in uncomfortable situations, those are the ones who break free. Those are the ones who go from struggling to thriving. The biggest risk you can take in life is never taking one at all. Think about how many people are sitting on ideas they'll never act on. How many people want to start a business, but never do? How many people want to change careers, but keep telling themselves it's not the right time? How many people have the talent, the potential, the ability to do something incredible, but will never step forward because they're afraid of what might go wrong? The fear of failure keeps more people stuck than failure itself ever could. And that's what you have to understand. Failure isn't the enemy. Staying the same is every person who has ever made it. Every person who has built something great has failed more times than you can count. But they kept going. They learned. They adjusted. They used their failures as stepping stones. Meanwhile, the ones who never take risks, the ones who avoid failure at all costs, end up with the biggest regret of all, the regret of never trying. If you want real success, you have to start thinking differently. Instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? Start asking, what if it does? Instead of focusing on what you might lose, focus on what you stand to gain. Because yes, there will be challenges. Yes, things won't always go as planned. But every risk you take, every step you make outside of your comfort zone, is moving you closer to the life you actually want. Playing it safe might feel comfortable now, but comfort never leads to growth. The people who win are the ones who embrace uncertainty. They make bold moves. They put themselves in situations where they have to rise to the occasion. They understand that nothing worth having comes without a little bit of risk. And over time, those small risks add up. They turn into opportunities, into breakthroughs, into success stories. You don't have to be reckless. You don't have to gamble everything away, but you do have to be willing to bet on yourself. You have to be willing to take a leap, even when you don't have all the answers, because waiting for the perfect moment will keep you waiting forever. There will never be a time when everything is guaranteed, when success is handed to you without effort. You have to go after it. You have to create it. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been playing it safe? What have you been avoiding because it feels too risky? What opportunities have you let pass you by because you were afraid of what might go wrong? And now ask yourself, what if you just went for it? What if instead of holding back, you leaned in? What if you decided that you were done settling, done waiting, done living in fear? Because in the end, the people who succeed aren't the ones who avoided risk their entire lives. They're the ones who took smart risks, who bet on themselves, who stepped up, even when they were afraid. And that's the difference between the ones who stay stuck and the ones who create the life they actually want. The only question is, which one will you be? Number 7. The more you help others, the more you make. Most people have it all backward. They think making money is about working harder, pushing themselves to the limit, grinding every single day just to get ahead. They focus so much on what they can get, on how they can win, on how they can beat the competition. But they miss the secret that separates the truly successful from everyone else. The real key to wealth, to success, to a life of abundance, isn't just about what you do for yourself. It's about how much you help others. Because the more you give, the more you get. The more value you bring, the more money follows. The more people you impact, the greater your rewards will be. Look around, and you'll see it everywhere. The most successful businesses, the most influential people, the wealthiest individuals, they all have one thing in common. They solve problems. They make other people's lives easier. They offer something valuable, something people need, something that improves the world in some way. That's why they win. That's why they get ahead. Because success isn't about taking, it's about giving. Think about it. Why do people pay for anything? Because they want a solution. They want something to be faster, easier, better. They want a service that saves them time, a product that improves their life, knowledge that helps them get ahead. And the people who understand this, who stop focusing on themselves and start focusing on how they can serve others, those are the ones who thrive. The problem is, most people are focused on the wrong things. They're chasing money, but they're not creating value. They're trying to make a quick buck instead of thinking about how they can truly help people. And that's why they struggle. That's why they never break through, because money follows value. Always. If you want to earn more, stop thinking about what you can take and start thinking about what you can give. Every wealthy person you admire, every business that dominates the market, every brand that people can't get enough of, it's all built on one simple principle. Serve more, earn more. The more people you help, the more people you impact, the more people you bring value to, the greater your income, your success, and your opportunities will be. That's the secret most people miss. Think about the difference between an average employee and the one who skyrockets through the company. The average employee just does what's expected. They show up, do their job, and go home. But the person who rises, the person who gets promoted, the person who becomes invaluable to the company, they go beyond that. They solve problems. They take initiative. They make things better, easier, more efficient. They provide value. And because of that, they move up. They earn more. They open more doors for themselves. It's the same in business. The entrepreneur who is obsessed with creating a great experience, with making their customers' lives easier, with over-delivering on value, those are the ones who win. Meanwhile, the ones who just want to sell something, who only care about their profits, who don't think about their customers, they don't last, because people don't care about what you want. They care about how you can help them. The moment you shift your focus from yourself to others, everything changes. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? Start asking, how can I serve more people? Instead of thinking, how can I get ahead? Start thinking, how can I make someone else's life better? Because the truth is, the more people you impact, the more success you attract. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what skills you have, what job you do. This rule applies everywhere. A doctor who genuinely cares about their patients, who goes above and beyond, will always have a thriving practice. A teacher who inspires, who connects with students, who truly wants to make a difference, will always be respected and valued. A business owner who prioritizes customer experience, who creates something truly valuable, will always be in demand. And here's the best part. The more you help others, the more fulfillment you feel. Because real success isn't just about making money. It's about making an impact. It's about knowing that what you do matters, that your work is helping people, that your effort is improving lives. And when you operate from that mindset, success stops feeling like a struggle, because you're no longer chasing it, it's chasing you. But most people never figure this out. They spend their whole lives focused on what they can get, what they can gain, what they can accumulate. And they wonder why they never feel truly successful, why they're never really happy. It's because real fulfillment doesn't come from just receiving. It comes from giving. It comes from contribution. It comes from knowing that you are making a difference. So ask yourself, how much value are you bringing to the world? How many people are you helping? How are you making someone's life better? Because if you want more success, more wealth, more opportunities. It starts there. It starts with giving first. It starts with creating something meaningful, with solving problems, with making an impact. The more you help, the more you earn. That's the rule. That's the truth. And the sooner you start living by it, the sooner everything in your life will change. Number 8. Stop worrying about what others think. Focus on results. Most people never reach their full potential. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack intelligence, but because they're too busy worrying about what others think. They hold back. They play small. They hesitate. Because deep down, they're afraid of judgment, afraid of criticism, afraid of looking foolish. And because of that, they never take the risks they need to take. They never put themselves out there. And they never give their goals everything they've got. But here's the truth. The people who succeed, the people who make things happen, the people who change their lives, they don't waste time worrying about opinions. They don't care if others doubt them. They don't care if people laugh at them. They don't care if someone says, "That's a stupid idea," or "You're never going to make it," because they understand one thing: results are what matter, not opinions, not approval, not validation. Results. Think about it. The most successful people in the world, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the game changers, they all faced criticism. They all had people who doubted them, who said they were crazy, who told them they'd fail. But they didn't let that stop them, because they knew that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what you build, what you create, what you achieve, not what someone sitting on the sidelines thinks about it. Most people spend their lives trying to impress others, trying to fit in, trying to be liked. And because of that, they never take the bold steps they need to take. They never pursue the things that set their soul on fire. They never step outside the box. Because stepping outside the box means risking judgment. But here's the harsh reality. No matter what you do, people are going to have opinions. Whether you succeed or fail, whether you play it safe or take risks, whether you stay quiet or speak your truth, someone will always have something to say. So why waste your time trying to please people who will never fully understand your vision? The people who criticize you, the people who doubt you, the people who roll their eyes at your ambition. Where are they? What have they built? What have they created? 9 times out of 10, they're just spectators. They're not in the game. They're not taking risks. They're not pushing themselves. And that's why their opinions don't matter. Because opinions don't pay bills. Opinions don't create success. Opinions don't build a legacy. Look at the greats. Every single one of them had doubters. Elon Musk. People called him crazy. Jeff Bezos. People laughed at the idea of selling books online. Oprah. She was told she wasn't fit for television. But where are they now? And where are the people who doubted them? See, when you focus on results, the noise fades. The criticism becomes irrelevant. Because at the end of the day, success speaks for itself. But most people let fear of judgment paralyze them. They never start the business because they're worried about what their friends will say. They never post their work online because they're afraid of negative comments. They never take the leap because they're scared of looking foolish. And that's why they stay stuck. That's why they stay average. Because they let opinions control their destiny, instead of focusing on what actually matters, taking action, getting results, and building something real. The truth is, people are going to judge you. No matter what you do, you might as well do what sets your soul on fire. You might as well chase the dream. You might as well put yourself out there, give it everything you've got, and see what's possible. Because the people who mock you now, they'll be the same ones asking for advice later. The ones who criticize, they'll be the same ones clapping when you succeed. That's just how it works. So if you're sitting on an idea, if you're hesitating to take action, if you're holding back because you're worried about what people might say, stop. Stop wasting time. Stop playing small. Stop waiting for permission. Because the people who doubt you today won't matter in 5 years. The only thing that will matter is whether you took action or whether you let fear hold you back. There's a reason the most successful people in the world don't spend their time arguing with critics. They're too busy winning. They're too busy building. They're too busy turning their dreams into reality. And that's what you need to do. Focus on results. Focus on progress. Focus on the work. Because when you start winning, when you start achieving, when you start making things happen, the doubters fade into the background. They always do. Number 9. Take action even when you're afraid. Fear stops more dreams than failure ever will. Most people don't even get to the point of failing because they never start. They wait. They hesitate. They second-guess themselves. And before they know it, years have passed. Opportunities have slipped away, and they're stuck in the same place, wondering what could have been. That's what fear does. It paralyzes. It convinces you that you need more time, more information, more preparation. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. The longer you let fear dictate your actions, the more power it gains over you. And the only way to break free is to act in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. The most successful people in the world are not fearless. They're just people who learned to take action while they were afraid. They understood that fear is a natural response to stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's your mind's way of trying to protect you from the unknown. But success, growth, transformation, none of those things happen inside the comfort zone. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. And the only way to get there is to take action. Not when you feel ready, not when you feel confident. But now, most people think they need confidence before they take action. But it's actually the opposite. Confidence comes from taking action. Every time you do something that scares you, you become stronger. Every time you push through fear, you build trust in yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. But if you wait for the fear to disappear before you act, you'll be waiting forever. Because no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you plan, that fear will always be there. It's part of the process. Look at anyone who has achieved something great. They didn't start out fearless. They started out scared, just like you. But they didn't let that fear stop them. They launched the business. They made the investment. They put themselves out there, even when they doubted themselves. And over time, their courage paid off. Not because they were special, not because they had some secret advantage, but because they took action when others hesitated. They moved forward when others froze. They refused to let fear control their future. Think about your own life. How many times have you let fear talk you out of something? How many times have you had a great idea but never acted on it? How many times have you told yourself, "I'll do it later," only to realize that later never comes? That's the trap. Fear disguises itself as logic, as caution, as responsibility. It whispers in your ear, "Now's not the right time," and you believe it. But the right time will never come, because no matter when you start, it's always going to feel uncomfortable. It's always going to feel uncertain. That's how you know it's worth doing. The biggest regrets in life don't come from the things you tried and failed at. They come from the things you never tried at all. The conversations you never had, the risks you never took, the dreams you never chased. Years from now, you won't look back and regret the times you stepped out of your comfort zone. You'll regret the times you stayed in it. You'll regret the times you let fear win. Because once time is gone, you can't get it back. And if you're not careful, fear will steal more from you than failure ever could. The truth is, action cures fear. The second you take that first step, the fear starts to lose its grip. It might not disappear completely, but it gets weaker. Because fear thrives in inaction. It grows stronger when you sit still. But when you move, when you take action, when you step forward despite the fear, it starts to fade. And eventually you realize that the thing you were so afraid of was never as scary as you imagined. So don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Don't wait until the fear is gone, because it never will be. Start now. Take the leap. Say yes. Do the thing that scares you, because the moment you take action, you take back control. And once you do that, there's nothing you can't achieve. Number 10. Your future wealth is decided by the choices you make today. Every decision you make today is shaping the life you will live tomorrow, whether you realize it or not. Your future wealth is not built in one grand moment of luck or opportunity. It's built in the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make every single day. The way you spend your time, the way you manage your money, the way you invest in yourself, your knowledge, your skills, all of it is either setting you up for a future of abundance or a future of struggle. Most people don't think like this. They live as if their future is something that just happens to them. They hope things will get better. They assume that one day something will change, and they'll finally have the success, the freedom, the wealth they've always dreamed of. But life doesn't work that way. Wealth doesn't just appear. Success doesn't randomly land in your lap. It's the result of thousands of small choices you're making right now, whether you realize it or not. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't wake up one day and find themselves wealthy. They made decisions, smart, strategic, disciplined decisions, day after day, year after year, long before the results ever showed up. They chose to invest instead of spend. They chose to develop new skills instead of wasting time. They chose to take risks instead of playing it safe. And over time, those choices compounded. That's how wealth is built, not overnight, but over years of making the right moves while everyone else is making excuses. The problem is, most people don't think long-term. They live for the moment. They spend what they earn because they want instant gratification. They put off learning, investing, or building something of their own, because it's easier to be comfortable now and deal with the consequences later. But later always comes. And when it does, they realize they've wasted years waiting. Instead of creating, they realize they've built a life of limitations because of the short-sighted choices they made along the way. You have to understand that every choice has consequences. Every dollar you spend on something unnecessary is a dollar that could have been invested. Every hour you waste scrolling, watching, or procrastinating is an hour that could have been spent learning, growing, or building something that pays you back. The choices you make today are shaping your future, whether you acknowledge it or not. And if you're not intentional about them, you'll wake up one day wondering where all your time and potential went. The difference between those who build wealth and those who stay stuck isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It's mindset. The wealthy understand the power of delayed gratification. They understand that success isn't about what feels good in the moment. It's about making decisions that will pay off in the long run. See, while others are focused on spending, they're focused on investing. While others are seeking comfort, they're seeking growth. While others are making excuses, they're making progress. It's easy to say, I'll start tomorrow. It's easy to put things off, to assume you have more time, to tell yourself that you'll figure it out later. But the truth is, every day you delay, you're falling further behind. Every day you wait, you're missing opportunities. And while you're waiting, someone else is making moves. Someone else is choosing discipline over distraction. Someone else is building wealth while you're just hoping for it. The reality is, the future is coming whether you're ready or not. In 5 years, in 10 years, you're going to arrive somewhere. The question is, will you arrive where you want to be? Or will you arrive wishing you had made different choices? Will you look back and be proud of the way you spent your time, your money, your energy? Or will you have to face the fact that you let short-term comfort steal your long-term success? There's only one way to make sure you end up where you want to be. You have to start now. You have to make the hard choices today so you can live with freedom tomorrow. You have to think like the wealthy think, act like the successful act, and prioritize the things that actually move you forward. That means learning. That means investing. That means sacrificing comfort for growth. And most of all, that means taking full responsibility for where your life is headed. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more making decisions that feel good now but hurt you later. Your future wealth is in your hands, and it's being built or destroyed by the choices you make today. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Every successful person you admire, every millionaire, every leader, every game changer, was once standing right where you are now. They weren't born with all the answers. They didn't have a perfect plan. But they made a decision to think differently, to act differently, to break free from the limitations that held them back. And now, it's your turn. You don't have to settle for the life you have now, if it's not the one you want. You don't have to keep playing small, doubting yourself, or waiting for the perfect moment. The truth is, the perfect moment will never come. You create it. You decide when enough is enough. You decide when it's time to step up. So what will it be? Will you keep thinking the way you've always thought? Making the same choices? Getting the same results? Or will you shift your mindset, take control, and start thinking like the person you were meant to be? Your future is in your hands. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because every moment you wait is a moment wasted. Every excuse you make is an opportunity lost. And every small step you take today is a building block for the life you've always wanted. The ones who make it aren't the luckiest or the smartest. They're the ones who decide to stop waiting and start doing. So go out there, make the move, take the risk, shift your mindset, and watch how everything starts to change.